Hey everyone, welcome back to Study English Online Podcast, your cozy little place to practice real English through real conversations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake, and today's topic is honestly one of my favorites because it connects so many of our past episodes together. We're talking about simple habits that change your life.
Yes, and I want to be clear right from the start, we're not talking about huge, dramatic life overhauls. We're talking about small, simple habits that quietly add up to something really meaningful over time.
Exactly, and I think that's such an important distinction because so many people believe real change requires something big and intense, when honestly, the smallest habits are often the ones that stick and end up mattering the most.
Today we're going to cover morning habits, habits for your mind, habits for your relationships, and habits for your physical well-being, along with tons of natural English vocabulary and conversation practice along the way.
And of course, real role-play conversations, so you can practice your English while learning something genuinely useful for daily life.
Stick around until the end for our full practice conversation where we bring everything together naturally.
Let's get into it.
So Jake, let's start with the big question. Why do you think small habits often matter more than big dramatic changes?
Honestly, I think it's because small habits are sustainable. They don't require huge amounts of willpower or motivation every single day, which we actually talked about in our discipline episode too.
Right, and there's such a great phrase for this. Small changes, big results. I really believe in small changes, big results, rather than trying to transform everything overnight.
Great phrase. Let's talk about another useful idea. Compounding, a word often used in finance, but it applies beautifully here too. Small habits compound over time, meaning their effects build on each other, becoming much bigger than they seem on any single day.
Let's practice using this idea. Jake, tell me about a small habit that's compounded into something meaningful for you over time.
Sure. Honestly, I started reading just 10 pages a night a couple of years ago, and now, looking back, I've read dozens of books I never would have finished if I'd waited for some huge burst of motivation instead.
That's such a beautiful example of compounding in action. Let's talk about one more important idea here, the ripple effect, meaning one small positive habit often naturally leads to other positive changes too. Once I started exercising regularly, it had a ripple effect on my sleep, my mood, even my diet.
Great phrase, and such a common, genuine experience for so many people. Let's get into the specific categories now, starting with morning habits.
Let's talk about morning habits first, since so many people say the way they start their day really does shape everything that follows.
Right. Let's start with one of the most popular ones, drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Simple, but genuinely helps with hydration and energy after a night of sleep.
Let's practice talking about this. Jake, tell me about your own morning routine.
Sure. Honestly, the very first thing I do is drink a full glass of water, even before I check my phone. It's become such a small but meaningful part of how I start my day.
That's such a lovely, simple habit. Let's talk about another popular morning habit, avoiding your phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. There's a great phrase for this, protecting your morning, keeping that early time calm and intentional rather than immediately filling it with notifications and messages.
Right, and this connects back to something we discussed in our positivity episode too, protecting your mental space, especially early in the day when your mind is most impressionable.
Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about protecting your morning in your own daily life.
Sure, I'll take this one. I try to protect the first 20 minutes of my morning completely phone-free. I usually just sit quietly with my coffee, and honestly, it sets such a calmer tone for the rest of my day.
Beautiful example. Let's talk about one more popular morning habit, making your bed, which we actually touched on briefly in our discipline episode too. It's such a small action, but many people say it genuinely creates a sense of accomplishment right at the start of the day.
Right, and there's a nice phrase for this, starting with a win. Even something as small as a made bed can genuinely shift your mindset for the hours that follow.
Let's do a quick role play exploring morning habits together. Imagine two friends comparing their morning routines.
So what does your morning actually look like these days?
Honestly, pretty simple. I drink water first thing, make my bed, and then I try to protect the first half hour without my phone.
That sounds really peaceful, honestly. I've been trying to do something similar, though I definitely still check my phone way too early most days.
It's definitely a work in progress for most of us. Even small steps in that direction really do make a difference over time.
See, listeners, notice how naturally these small morning habits came up in a real, casual conversation between friends. Genuine, relatable, not a rigid, perfect routine.
Now let's move to habits specifically for your mind, mental clarity, focus, and emotional well-being, since so much of a genuinely changed life actually starts internally.
Great idea. Let's start with journaling, which we touched on in our Bad Day episode 2. Even just a few honest sentences a day can genuinely help process thoughts and emotions over time.
Right, and there's a nice phrase for this, getting it out of your head, meaning writing down thoughts to create a little mental space and clarity. Whenever my mind feels really cluttered, journaling helps me get it out of my head.
Let's practice this. Anna, tell me about how journaling or a similar reflective habit helps you personally.
Sure, I'll take this one. Honestly, even just 5 minutes of journaling before bed really helps me get my thoughts out of my head, so I'm not lying awake turning them over and over.
That's such a genuine, relatable example. Let's talk about another simple habit for the mind. Practicing gratitude, which we discussed in our positivity episode 2. But it's honestly worth repeating here since it's such a powerful, simple mental habit for so many people.
Great point. Protecting your mental space really is one of the most underrated simple habits out there, and it costs absolutely nothing to practice. Now, let's talk about simple habits specifically for relationships, since connection with others often plays such a huge role in overall life satisfaction and happiness.
Great idea. Let's start with a really simple one, sending a quick check-in message to a friend or family member regularly without needing a big occasion or reason. I try to make it a habit to check in with someone I care about, even just a quick message, at least once a week.
Right. And this connects back to something we discussed in our discipline episode 2. Discipline actually applies to relationships, not just productivity. Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about a small relationship habit you try to maintain.
Sure, I'll take this one. Honestly, I try to call my parents every Sunday no matter how busy my week has been, and that small, consistent habit has genuinely strengthened our relationship so much over the years.
That's such a beautiful, meaningful example. Let's talk about another simple relationship habit, really listening during conversations rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. There's a great phrase for this. Being fully present, giving someone your complete attention without distractions.
Right. Such a simple habit, but honestly, it can genuinely transform the quality of your relationships over time. Let's practice this. Anna, tell me about a time being fully present made a real difference in a conversation.
Sure, I'll take this one. Honestly, I noticed a real difference once I started putting my phone completely away during conversations with my partner. Being fully present really did deepen how connected we felt, even during small, everyday chats.
That's such a genuine, relatable example. Let's talk about one more simple relationship habit. Expressing appreciation regularly rather than only during big moments or special occasions. I try to tell the people I love why I appreciate them, even for small, everyday things.
Beautiful habit, and such a simple, meaningful way to strengthen relationships over time, just through small, consistent moments of genuine appreciation.
Now let's talk about simple habits for your physical well-being, since so much of how we feel mentally really does connect back to how we're treating our bodies too.
Great point. Let's start with movement, which doesn't need to mean an intense workout every day. Even a short daily walk can genuinely make a meaningful difference over time. I try to take a short walk every day, even just 15 minutes, rain or shine.
Right, and there's a nice phrase for this. moving your body daily, rather than the more intimidating phrase, working out, which can feel like a much bigger commitment for some people.
Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about how you try to move your body daily.
Sure. Honestly, I try to take the stairs instead of the elevator whenever I can. It's such a small thing, but it really does add up to a lot of extra movement throughout my week.
That's such a practical, simple example. Let's talk about another simple physical habit, prioritizing consistent sleep, going to bed and waking up around the same time each day. I try to prioritize a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends.
Right, and this connects to a phrase we've used before, too, protecting your sleep. Treating rest as genuinely important, not something to sacrifice constantly for productivity.
Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about how you try to protect your sleep.
Sure, I'll take this one. Honestly, I try to stop working at least an hour before bed, even if that means leaving something unfinished. Protecting my sleep has genuinely made such a difference in how I feel the next day.
That's such an important, honest example. Let's talk about one more simple physical habit, mindful eating, actually paying attention while you eat, rather than rushing or eating distractedly. I try to eat at least one meal a day without any screens, just really paying attention to my food.
Great habit, and honestly, such a simple shift that many people say genuinely improves both digestion and overall satisfaction with meals.
Let's take a moment now to talk a little about how habits actually stick over time in simple, everyday English, since understanding this can really help make these changes last.
Great idea. Let's talk about the phrase habit stacking, which we actually mentioned briefly in our discipline episode 2, attaching a new habit to something you already do consistently. I stack my gratitude practice right after I brush my teeth every night.
Right. And let's talk about another useful idea, the trigger, the specific moment or cue that reminds you to do the habit. My trigger for stretching is right after I turn off my morning alarm.
Let's practice this. Anna, tell me about a trigger you use for one of your own habits.
Sure, I'll take this one. My trigger for journaling is right after I turn off my bedside lamp. That small cue reminds me every single night without fail.
That's such a clear, practical example. Let's talk about one more important idea. Reducing friction, making a habit as easy as possible to actually start, removing any small barriers that might get in the way. I keep my running shoes right by the door so there's zero friction getting started in the morning.
That's a great point. And honestly, this small detail makes such a huge difference in whether a habit actually sticks long-term or fades away after a few weeks. Let's do a quick role play exploring these ideas together. Imagine two friends discussing how to make a new habit actually stick this time.
I keep trying to meditate more, but I just never actually remember to do it.
Have you tried attaching it to something you already do consistently, like right after your morning coffee?
That's actually a good idea. I could use finishing my coffee as a trigger to start.
Exactly. And maybe keep your meditation app or cushion somewhere really visible too, reducing any friction to actually getting started.
That makes a lot of sense. I think I've just been making it a little too complicated for myself.
See, listeners, notice how naturally these practical tools came up in a real, casual conversation. Genuine, useful advice grounded in simple, everyday language.
All right, time for our full practice conversation, bringing together morning habits, mental habits, relationship habits, and physical habits, all in one natural dialogue.
Let's set the scene. Two friends catching up after not seeing each other for a while. One of them has made some genuine, simple changes recently.
Perfect. Here we go.
Hey, it's been a while. How have you been?
Honestly, really good. I've actually made some small changes to my daily routine over the past few months, and it's genuinely made a big difference.
Oh, really? Tell me more. I could definitely use some inspiration lately.
Sure. So in the mornings, I've been drinking water first thing and protecting the first half hour without checking my phone at all.
That sounds so peaceful, honestly. Has that actually made a noticeable difference?
It really has. Small changes, big results, honestly. I've also started journaling for just 5 minutes before bed. It really helps me get everything out of my head before I fall asleep.
That's lovely. What about physically? Have you changed anything there too?
Yeah, actually, I've just been taking a short walk every day, nothing intense, and I've also been trying to protect my sleep more, going to bed around the same time most nights.
That's so inspiring, honestly. And what about relationships? Has anything changed there for you too?
Actually, yes. I started calling my mom every Sunday, no matter how busy things get, and it's genuinely strengthened our relationship so much over the years.
That's such a beautiful habit. Honestly, hearing all of this makes me want to start something small myself.
Honestly, I'd say just pick one small thing. Don't try to change everything all at once. That's what really made it stick for me this time.
That's such good advice. I think I'll start with something really simple, maybe just the phone-free morning idea.
That's a great place to start. Honestly, once you build a little momentum, other changes tend to follow much more naturally.
Okay, listeners, did you catch everything in that conversation? Simple morning habits, mental habits like journaling, physical habits like walking and protecting sleep, and relationship habits like consistent check-ins, all woven together naturally, along with genuine encouragement to start small.
Let's break down a few key lines. Small changes, big results. The core mindset behind today's whole episode.
Protecting the first half hour without checking my phone at all.
A simple, meaningful morning habit.
It really helps me get everything out of my head before I fall asleep.
A mental habit supporting emotional clarity.
I started calling my mom every Sunday.
A small, consistent relationship habit.
Just pick one small thing. Don't try to change everything all at once. That's such important, practical advice for lasting change.
See how naturally all these tools weave together in one real, everyday conversation? That's exactly the goal today.
Let's talk about mistakes now, common patterns that often prevent simple habits from actually sticking long term.
Great point. Mistake number 1. Trying to change too many things all at once, which we actually just touched on in our practice conversation too. Starting 5 new habits simultaneously often leads to burnout within just a week or two.
Right. A much more sustainable approach is usually starting with just one small habit, letting it become automatic, and then gradually adding another one, rather than overhauling everything at once.
Good point. Mistake number 2, setting the habit goal too big from the very start, like committing to an hour of exercise daily right away, rather than starting with something much smaller and more manageable, like just 10 minutes.
Right, and this connects back to our discipline episode too. Consistency over intensity really does apply here as well.
Now let's talk about mistake number 3, giving up completely after just one day, rather than simply continuing the next day without dwelling on it.
Such an important point, and honestly, we've discussed this pattern in a few previous episodes too. One missed day really doesn't erase the whole habit. It's the overall pattern over time that genuinely matters most.
Mistake number 4, not attaching the new habit to an existing routine or clear trigger, which often makes it much harder to actually remember consistently, especially during the first few weeks.
Let's go through a quick reference list of useful phrases organized by situation, since this can be really handy for listeners to remember.
Great idea. For talking about the mindset behind habits, small changes, big results. Compounding, the ripple effect.
For morning habits, protecting your morning, starting with a win.
For mental habits, getting it out of your head, creating a little stillness, protecting my mental space.
For relationship habits, checking in, being fully present, expressing appreciation regularly.
For physical habits, moving your body daily, protecting your sleep, mindful eating.
And for making habits stick, habit stacking, the trigger, reducing friction.
That's such a useful toolkit, listeners. Save this list or come back and re-listen to this section a few times until these phrases start feeling automatic.
Let's do a fun role-play marathon, 5 quick scenarios, so you can hear these tools used again and again in different contexts.
I love this idea. Let's go fast. Scene 1, building a hydration habit.
I keep forgetting to drink enough water during the day.
Have you tried keeping a water bottle right on your desk? Reducing that friction really does help a lot.
That's a good idea. I'll try that starting tomorrow.
Scene 2, building a reading habit before bed.
I always mean to read before bed, but I end up scrolling on my phone instead.
Maybe try keeping your phone in another room and placing your book right on your pillow as a visual trigger.
That's actually really smart. I'll give that a try tonight.
Scene 3, building a gratitude habit.
I want to start practicing gratitude, but I never remember to actually do it.
Try stacking it onto something you already do daily, like right after your morning coffee.
That makes sense. I'll attach it to my coffee routine starting today.
Scene 4, building a habit of checking in with friends.
I always mean to reach out to old friends, but life gets busy and I forget.
Maybe set a small weekly reminder just to check in with one person. Small changes really do add up over time.
I love that idea. I'll set a reminder for Sunday afternoons.
Scene 5, building a habit of moving more during the workday.
I sit at my desk all day and barely move at all.
Try setting a small trigger, like standing up and stretching every time you finish a meeting.
Perfect. Marathon, 5 completely different everyday habits, and every single tool we've discussed today showed up naturally across them.
Let's do a quick correction round, both grammar and tone this time. I'll read a sentence with a mistake, and Anna, you fix it.
Let's go.
Sentence 1. I'm trying to build many habits at once so I can change fastly.
2 issues here. First, many habits at once reflects an unsustainable approach. And second, fastly isn't actually a word. It should simply be fast or quickly. A better version would be, I'm trying to build one habit at a time so I can change sustainably.
Great fix. Sentence 2. A grammar issue. I am used to woke up early.
After used to, we need a gerund, not the past tense. It should be, I am used to waking up early.
Perfect. Sentence 3. If I miss one day, there's no point continuing anymore.
This reflects all or nothing thinking, which we discussed in our discipline episode 2. A healthier version would be, if I miss one day, I'll simply continue again the next day.
Excellent fix. Sentence 4. I don't have time for no new habits right now.
This has a double negative issue. It should be, I don't have time for any new habits right now.
Great catch. Sentence 5. Habits change your life instant.
Instant is an adjective, but here we need an adverb. It should be, habits change your life instantly, though honestly, a more accurate version might be, habits change your life gradually over time.
Great job catching all of these, Anna, and great job to listeners who caught them too.
Let's answer a couple of common questions before we wrap up. Jake, what's something learners often ask about building simple habits?
A big one is, how do I know which habit to start with first when there are so many I want to build?
Great question. And honestly, a good approach is choosing the habit that feels the easiest to start, rather than the one that seems most impressive or ambitious. Building that early momentum with an easy win often makes it much easier to add more habits later.
That's such a practical, encouraging answer. Another common question, is it bad to take a break from a habit during a really busy or stressful period, like a vacation or a big life event?
Not at all, honestly. That connects back to something we discussed in our discipline episode 2. Real, sustainable habits actually include flexibility and rest, rather than rigid, unforgiving consistency no matter what.
Great, compassionate answer. One more question. Is there a real difference between a habit and a routine in English?
Good question. They're closely related, but a habit usually refers to one single specific behavior, like drinking water in the morning, while a routine often refers to a whole sequence of habits done together, in a specific order, like a full morning routine.
Great distinctions. I think that covers a lot of really useful ground today.
Before we recap, let's do one final story, weaving together everything we've discussed today.
I'm ready. Go for it.
Okay. A few years ago, I was honestly feeling pretty stuck in a lot of areas of my life. Work felt draining, my relationships felt a little distant, and I just generally felt low on energy most days.
That sounds like such a heavy place to be in.
It really was. But instead of trying to fix everything at once, which honestly felt way too overwhelming, I decided to start with just one tiny habit, a short walk every morning. Nothing else.
That's such a small, manageable starting point.
Exactly. And honestly, within a few weeks, that one small habit started having a real ripple effect. I started sleeping better, which improved my mood, which made me more patient with the people around me. And slowly, other small habits started following naturally too.
That's such a beautiful example of compounding in action.
It really was. And looking back now, almost 2 years later, my entire daily life looks completely different, not because of one huge dramatic change, but because of that one small walk that eventually led to so many other simple, meaningful habits.
That's such a beautiful, honest example, listeners, and it really shows exactly what we've talked about today. Real, lasting change usually starts incredibly small and grows naturally over time, rather than arriving all at once through a single dramatic transformation.
Let's do a few more full-length scenes, this time a little longer so we can really hear the whole habit-building process play out naturally.
Great idea. Let's start with a scene about building a healthier habit around screen time.
Okay, I've been feeling like I spend way too much time on my phone lately, especially right before bed.
That's such a common struggle, honestly. Do you have any specific trigger for when the scrolling usually starts?
I think it's mostly right when I get into bed. It's become this automatic habit at this point.
What if you tried placing your phone in another room while you charge it overnight? That would remove the trigger completely rather than relying on willpower alone.
That's actually a really good idea. I think I've just been trying to resist it in the moment, which clearly isn't working very well.
Removing the temptation completely often works so much better than pure willpower, especially with something as automatic as phone scrolling.
I'm definitely going to try that tonight. Thank you for the suggestion.
Beautiful example, listeners, showing how removing a trigger completely can be just as powerful as building a positive new one.
Let's do a second longer scene, this time about building a consistent habit around healthy eating.
I keep trying to eat healthier, but I always end up grabbing fast food when I'm too tired to cook.
That's such a relatable struggle. What if you tried meal prepping just 1 or 2 simple meals on the weekend, so there's already an easy option ready during a busy week?
That's actually a great idea. I think the real problem is decision fatigue more than anything else. By the time I'm hungry, I just don't have the energy to decide what to cook.
Exactly. Reducing that friction ahead of time really can make such a big difference, removing the decision completely during those tired moments.
I think I'll try prepping just 2 simple meals this weekend. Nothing too ambitious to start.
That sounds like such a sustainable, realistic first step.
Great example, listeners, applying today's principles directly to a really common everyday challenge.
Let's do one final longer scene about building a consistent habit around creative expression, like drawing or writing, purely for enjoyment.
I used to draw all the time as a kid, but I haven't touched a sketchbook in years, and honestly, I miss it.
That's such a meaningful thing to want to bring back into your life. What's usually stopping you from starting again?
I think I just feel like I need a big block of uninterrupted time before I can even start, which almost never actually happens.
What if you tried something much smaller instead, like just 5 minutes of sketching right after dinner each night, removing that pressure of needing a huge chunk of time?
That actually sounds a lot more realistic. I think I've been treating it like this big project instead of something small and enjoyable.
Exactly. And that small, consistent habit really could build back into something much bigger over time, just like the ripple effect we talked about earlier.
I think I'll grab my old sketchbook tonight. Just 5 minutes. No pressure at all.
Beautiful closing example, listeners, showing that even a small habit we've let go of for years can be gently, simply brought back to life, one small, manageable step at a time.
Before we recap, let's give listeners a few questions to practice on their own, out loud, right now if you'd like to pause the episode.
Question 1. Think of one small habit you'd like to build. Try describing it using today's vocabulary, like small changes, big results, or protecting my morning.
Question 2. Try identifying a trigger you could attach that new habit to using the phrase habit stacking.
Question 3. Think of one way you could reduce friction to make that habit easier to start.
Great questions. Let me answer the third one to give an example. I want to start flossing every night, so I've decided to keep the floss right next to my toothbrush. That way there's zero friction. It's already right there waiting for me.
That's such a simple, practical example. And notice how naturally that small environmental change could make such a big difference in whether the habit actually sticks.
That's really the final goal here, listeners. Not massive, overwhelming change, but small, thoughtful, sustainable habits that genuinely compound into something meaningful over time. Let's cover a few more natural idioms before we recap, because these show up constantly in everyday English when people talk about habits and change.
Great idea. First one, old habits die hard, meaning long-established habits are genuinely difficult to break even when you want to change them. I know I should stop checking my phone so much, but old habits die hard.
Great phrase, and honestly, such an important reminder that patience really matters when trying to break an old pattern. Next, creature of habit, describing someone who really likes routine and consistency, sometimes resisting change. I'm such a creature of habit. I order the exact same coffee every single morning.
Lovely phrase, and honestly, most of us are creatures of habit in at least some parts of our lives. Let's practice a couple of these together. Jake, tell me about a time old habits died hard for you personally.
Sure. Honestly, I tried switching to a healthier breakfast for months, but old habits die hard. I kept going back to the same quick, less healthy option out of pure convenience.
That's such a genuine, relatable example. Let's cover one more idiom, break the mold, meaning to do something differently than the usual expected pattern. I decided to break the mold this year and actually stick to my New Year's resolution.
Great phrase, and such a nice, encouraging one to end on. Let's do a final quick role play using a few of these idioms naturally.
Honestly, I've tried to quit my late-night snacking habit so many times, but old habits die hard.
I totally understand. I'm such a creature of habit myself. It's honestly really hard to change routines you've had for years.
Exactly, but this time I'm really determined to break the mold and actually stick with it.
I love that attitude. And honestly, even trying again after old attempts really does count for something.
Perfect natural use of several idioms together, listeners. Exactly the kind of vocabulary that makes your English sound more fluent and genuinely relatable in everyday conversation.
Let's take a quieter moment before we recap and talk about how habit building can look different depending on someone's life stage, since this is genuinely useful, practical context for many of our listeners.
Great point. For students, habits often center around study routines, consistent sleep despite busy schedules, and managing screen time around schoolwork. I try to study for just 20 minutes at the same time every evening, rather than cramming everything at once.
Right, and for working professionals, habits often shift toward managing stress, protecting personal time outside of work, and maintaining energy throughout a demanding day. I try to take a short walk during my lunch break just to reset a little before the afternoon.
Great example. For parents, habits often revolve around finding small pockets of personal time within an incredibly busy schedule and modeling healthy habits for their children, too. I try to read for just 5 minutes before bed, even if it's the only quiet moment I get all day.
Such an important point. Habits often need to be scaled realistically to fit wherever someone actually is in their life, rather than following a rigid one-size-fits-all approach.
And for retirees or people in a completely new life chapter, habits can genuinely become an opportunity to build entirely new routines and rediscover interests without the same time constraints as before. Since retiring, I've finally built a consistent habit of painting every morning, something I never had time for before.
Beautiful examples across every stage, listeners, showing that no matter where you are in life, the same core principles, small, consistent, sustainable habits, really do apply universally, just adapted to your own unique circumstances.
All right, let's recap everything from today's episode.
We started with the core mindset. Small changes really do lead to big results, and habits genuinely compound and create a ripple effect over time.
We covered simple morning habits, drinking water first thing, protecting your morning from your phone, and making your bed for a small early win.
We talked about habits for your mind, journaling, practicing gratitude, and creating small moments of stillness throughout the day.
We explored habits for your relationships, checking in regularly, being fully present, and expressing appreciation even for small, everyday things.
We covered habits for your physical well-being, moving your body daily, protecting your sleep, and practicing mindful eating.
And we talked about how habits actually stick, using tools like habit stacking, identifying clear triggers, and reducing friction to make new habits as easy as possible to start.
If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. You don't need a huge, dramatic transformation to change your life. You just need one small, simple habit done consistently, allowed to grow naturally over time.
Such an important, encouraging reminder. And listeners, just like always, practice really is the key here. Try picking just one small habit this week and use today's phrases to talk yourself through building it honestly.
Beautifully said. All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, practicing your English.
We'll see you next time, right here for more easy English conversation practice.
Take care and keep speaking.
Bye, everyone.